to honor the memory of my brother instead of mourning him. Today, there is no blame whatsoever in my heart. Today, I leave the memory of Jacob L'Okori Oulany, the one I knew. Today is a grand opportunity for me to say, you man, you ran away from me because you know you cannot match me in the Bwala dance, so you chose to run away. Today, I'll speak about the hope Jacob's true friends have vowed to give his children and his father. When we went to the United States of America, it is when I learned that Jacob had been told around the 20th of February that he would not make it, that any time his demise would come. But the true Jacob that I had always known, he rejected that medical advice and fought. He egged on. And for 1 month, Jacob was fighting with God, saying, no, God, I cannot go. I'm not ready to go. Then when I was told that fateful night of the 19th of March, which was already 20th here in Uganda, that he had passed on close to 11 o'clock, I quarreled with God. My Lord Archbishop, you'll pray for me, but I quarreled with God. And I still have issues to sort out with God. And for me, my quarrel with God is informed because I was a babysitter when I was growing up, Lapidi. My first responsibility was being Lapidi, babysitter. Like every youth in Africa has to go through babysitting. And I think that prepared me for leadership. I said, God, why? Why me? Everybody who has gone out to seek medical attention has come back to Uganda. Why mine? Why mine? Megane pengon. Paji udugo. Megadung pedugo pengon. Iwero adokichi hanoro pengon. God did not answer me. God has not answered me. But fortunately, I found consolation in a Bible hymn. I am Catholic, but I find the Protestant classical hymns undying. O God, our help in ages past, our hope in time to come, our shelter is thine storming blast. So, but there is a stanza which always makes me be at peace with God, and that's what helped me to stop behaving like that baby who wants milk from the mother. The mother is still picking the breast from the bra, and the baby cannot wait, understandably. Or the mother still wants to clean the breast before giving to the baby. And the baby begins hitting the mother because the baby cannot believe that the mother will not give it milk as to when she wants it. So I was slapping God like that child, like that baby, for not saving my brother's life. Then I remembered, I think decided the 3rd or the 4th. 1,000 ages in thy sight is like an evening gone, short as the watch that ends the night before the rising sun. And I sang that one. I sang that one because I'm just angry because I do not understand God's time frame. I wanted an answer. I even wanted him to do what Jesus did to Lazarus. I think God said, my child, you don't understand these things. There is no prayer that I do not respond to. For you, when you say immediately, for me, immediately can be 1,000 years, because 1,000 years to me is just like an evening. Then I found consolation. I reconciled myself with the fact that physically Jacob is done. But I've also refused to accept that other than physically, Jacob is gone, because he remains with us. If you do not know that Jacob remains with us, yesterday, the district councils of the Greater North set a precedent in a joint council meeting. That meeting was summoned by Jacob in death. It was on account of his death that the district council sat and laid the foundation for the hereafter, for the thereafter, either to continue acting as one, to join hands, to act in concert, to sort our problems. Back to Seattle. I reflected. For 1 month, Jacob knew he was dying, and he held on. Then from my Bible reading, the story of Jacob, the other Jacob, who cheated on his brother Esau and took away what was due to his brother, and then fled to his maternal uncle's place, Laban. When he chose to go back now home, the way my Jacob chose now to go back home where God is, I think it must be now where the two frontiers, the frontiers where the two places converge. Fear seized his heart. He thought Esau was going to change. Then the angel of the Lord came to urge him, do not fear. He held onto this angel, and said, without you, without God, I cannot face my brother. He could not let go. So the angel got, I think, a stick or some club, and hit him on the knee, which affected one of his knee ligaments. He remained limping for the rest of his lifetime. The medical doctors, on account of this story in the Bible, called that ligament Jacob's ligament. And the greatest musicians in the world, the greatest composers in the world, the Negroes who composed Negro spirituals, composed a hymn in memoriam. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. I'll never let you go. If you bless me, I'll let you go. If you bless me, I'll let you go. If you bless me, I'll let you go. I'll never let you go. Day is breaking, Jacob, let me go. Day is approaching, Jacob, let me go. Day is breaking, let me go. I'll never let you go. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. Wrestling Jacob, let me go. I'll never let you go. So for 1 month, the angel was singing, say, Jacob, please release me to go. Jacob said, no, until you bless. Until, in this case, he said, until you assure me that I will go to my Father in heaven, I will not let go. I think when he was assured, and when we called him and he said, you see, Jacob, I never called him Jacob. For me, I called him Jacobo, or Gwada Pora Pora. That's how I called him. And for me, he never called me Owiny-Dollo. And actually, the first time Jacob called me Chigamoy was when he struggled and said the word and never said anything more. He would either call me Bichigs. Bichigs was his way of beautifying Chigamoy, making it sound very, very interesting. That was the level of intimacy. He would either call me Bichigs or Wodangom, Angom being my mother's surname. That was the level of our intimacy, and that's what I want to dwell on today. So Jacob fought with the angel. He now eats with the angels in the presence of the Lord. That's why I've chosen not to weep. And by the way, I shed no tears from the time I was told Jacob had died. I came to Uganda, even when I was so angry, even when I became so belligerent, no tears came. But the day Jacob's body arrived, when the Bola dancers were now bringing him, because his father here, Mzee Ukora said, Chigamoy, duagumeru kideyo me Bola me patron. The moment the Bolas now started bringing his body, I sobbed on that airport tarmac. I sobbed. That's the first time I shed tears for Jacob. I knew Jacob in the early 90s when they were students with Mao. I think they had run into some problems, into some disfavor with the university. And they were due for disciplinary action. So they came to my law firm. They qualified when I'd already practiced law for 10 years, these young boys. So they came to me, I looked at the documents, I said, bring those rules. They brought the rules. There is a saying, Your Excellency, Vice President. See, a good lawyer is not the one who knows all the laws. You can never know all the laws. A good lawyer is the one who knows where to find the law, or where to find the law that can help the case before him. So when I looked at the rules, I looked at everything, the laws pertaining to Parliament, I just found a little lapse, that these rules had not been laid before Parliament. So I told, Honorable Mao is here. I said, you go back and say, you're acting on a rule which is not law for these reasons. Makerere University swallowed its pride. Both Mao and Jacob continued and finished their law. And as somebody started, and it is now tradition, the rest is history. But then I knew Jacob Oulany better from Juba, where we served as technical legal personnel in the Juba peace talks. When I went, and I had been invited by Kony, and my case was very interesting. When I was state minister here, Kony had sent a fatwa, those of you who know what I'm saying, that I should be killed. And stubborn, I think I was being reckless. I said, well, I do not die twice. If it is what God has written, I will die. I continued. He did not kill me, but he summoned me to go to the Garamba where he was in the DRC. So when I sat with Coin in the middle, Vincent Uti on the right, Okoto Diambo on the left, 6 hours, probably 7. It should have been with Jacob Oulany, but he did not make it. So we met later. Those things we are writing down, you will read. But in Juba, we were together. That's when I discovered he had love for Buala, Jacob Maro Buala Dada. Ento apora no poirinyo jalle ya gago bako chakpunyo Buala ke mwakario. Madjallo chakupunyo mielo Buala don ke mwaka piara dek ando apunyo en. And Your Excellency, Jacob was very good because of the frame. He had a massive frame, you know this. I think his chest was 1.5 times broader than mine. So if he just shakes it a little, those of you who do not know Buala, you think the man has really danced. And many times I became envious because they were congratulating him more than me, the teacher. And yet when it came to footwork, he didn't know. So there's some of the songs I will sing when I'm speaking to my people in Luo. When it came to that, and he knew he would betray his ignorance of the dance. He would say, Jalbi Chicks, he would say, I should go and play the drums, knowing when they dance alone, nobody would notice. That is the level of our intimacy. I'll just tell you highlights. In 2011, when his victory here was being contested, we had come, I think 2011, yes. We had come to Gulu here for the Kwa Yellow case. Nothing to do with this case. The principal judge then was Dr. Yorokamo Bwamwine. He's now retired. So Jacob came just to greet us. So he told the principal judge, he was just making fun of me. Say, my Lord Principal Judge, I want to thank you at a personal level for something. Say, what is it? I thank you for not giving me, pointing at me, I thank you for not giving me this man to preside over my case. Then the judge said, but I thought you were friends. Said, no, I'll be the first person to object against his handling my case. Because he would do everything to make me fail, to prove to the world that despite our friendship, for him is blind to our friendship. So please, I'm happy you gave me another judge. We all laughed. Then in 2001, this girl, Atima, was just like this. We agreed he should come to Bukolobi Shell. I had gone to DFCU Bank to get some money to give him for his campaign, which he won, but I lost. I think it is giving him some of my money that made me lose, but he won and I lost. So he hides behind those shelves, which are in the middle of, and then sent this girl. This girl was young, in a school, primary school uniform, could have been nursery even. So somebody comes and begins touching me. I look at this girl, I don't know. So I start asking, who are you? Give me the name, and I didn't know. Then he appears from where he was hiding, that I had sent this girl to abduct you. Then the one which you laugh at, the position of Chief Justice fell vacant in 2020. And I believe I was a front runner. So now the good people who thought they loved him more than I love him went to him that there is a problem. We want you for speaker in the next parliament, but there is a problem. If Justice Owiny-Dollo becomes Chief Justice, then you're becoming speaker, you'll go through a bottleneck. So I think we need to do everything to ensure he does not become Chief Justice. The moment they would leave, he would call me, Bichix, you laugh at this one, and then he tells me. Then I told him, maybe you're not privy to this information. Coming from one side has never been a factor in determining who the speaker or who the Chief Justice is. I told him, you ask them. when Chief Justice Wambuzi was Chief Justice of Uganda, who was Vice President of Uganda. And the more immediate one, when Justice Bart Katurebe was Chief Justice, the one we seek to replace now, who was the President of Uganda? Why is it now an issue when there is the potential of you and I occupying these two positions? As fate would have it, I became Chief Justice, and he's becoming Speaker. There was no bottleneck at all. Knowing that I would preside over this election, I did not talk to him. But before that, when I was made Chief Justice, I told him, now when you were Deputy Speaker and I was Deputy Chief Justice, you were higher in rank than me, and I would have to invite you to come and speak to people. Now I'm going to become Chief Justice, and you have to invite me to pay back. Indeed, I became Chief Justice, but we never had the opportunity for him to meet together and in a function like this, for him to invite me. The day he was elected Speaker, I want you people to know, the first thing Jacob Oulany did when he took his seat, I was seated next to him, he leaned over to me and reminded me that now you will have to be inviting me to speak to people. But fate can really be cruel. It's one thing I would have loved to do for my younger brother, but fate is really cruel. Now I will be inviting my sister to come and speak to people. That's now what I will be doing, not Jacob Oulany. But that's the way of the world. Jacob lived a full life. His purpose on earth, God knew even before he was conceived when he would be born and when he would go back. It has come to pass. I will not dwell on that. What I will now dwell on with my brothers and sisters to whom Jacob Oulany meant everything is the Jacob Oulany Education Fund. The trust fund out of the foundation. I think that's the best that I can do to Jacob. I know as a fact, he had 2 of his children already studying outside. He wanted his youngest daughter, Atim, to go and study outside. He had even signed some documents. I am privy to this, that Atim would go. You heard from her that he wanted her to become a pediatrician. That is a doctor who treats children. I have given my word. I reiterate here. Jacob's children will pursue their education for as far as their brains will take them. And I'm happy, I'm glad, I thank God. There are thousands of like-minded people in this regard. And I believe this is the best way of wiping away the tears from Mzee Okori's face. The knowledge that yes, Jacob is dead, but Jacob is not dead. Because in my culture, you don't die if you have children. They will later say you are dead if the children turn out to be useless. But you have heard them speak here. These are not people who are headed for being useless. You heard them. I thank God for Jacob's life. I thank those who have contributed for the future of his children, and those who have pledged to contribute, and those who will be touched by our Oduru. Down south they call it Nduru. to keep the legacy of Jacob Oulany alive. Now, I'm going to speak in vernacular, so that I speak to the people who gave you Jacob, beginning from his father, and the electorates, the Acholi people, the Lango people, the people of northern Uganda, who gave Uganda Jacob. I'll speak to them. I need to speak to them. Thank you. Lutwa, anano tiki kumu madira dada, topa Jacob, ki jolo ki bila, ki jolo ki rejera, pe ki jolo ki pigwan. Bila pe ya chuli, ki kwara chuli. Ki mona chuli be dong pengeo ki jera, piano chamo mo. No. Museo Kore, no wadone. Kainen tuomo mago tuan guok, pien guok ke ume. Ngweo to mati ka bin wakichen. To mati wai school la lugi guok ngweo. Ada to mune romera ucholume. Oulany tuan la lueny mo bada ki lueny mo ke lueny mak magalo duguni ununge Oulany la lueny. Lueny man me wajene ameru gini meru ko teme dok wang ne Oulany pedokchen. Ento ineno magi luwa la mego enne makubiti speaker me Uganda. Aneta mong luwa madong koka. Ni Jacob kwer ni endong pechira riat de on lo orung ende teno chanto twal ke wache ni ngan mamiri ni nuwa yu Owiny-Dollo ko Owiny-Dollo dong po wero Jacob ye me chero riat chingat mo dong pere cha da chero ma o kite ngola ke pigwa cha neno tiga we lo ka pekati pe winye tiga we cha di u ira e dog Jacob cha winu tika welu rigo umera lwenyo bon min uloma mayambu chobu ngula buro we ma je ko bubere ko wera ma kwera ko ne ena kitu wene Che cha mai am a winu wera ne awani goba agam ne goba awani jal pingo e meru ne apora kuluonga jok pingo e meru ne apora kubanyo ni latina ya mana mi chi yini dit ni chet kede telwa ngom ne ko chino pangeo ka winyo ni toy or chino pangeo gamo pebera be wachi en goba an pa be gamo were ne we la bang en pa be gamo we mana bi wer wan kiri ila lugi pay center e ganga pora aye ka watika mielo bola wan kiri kem na chi to wa miele paton kem na chi to wa miele nyoma latena me pueblo ba pe kwenyo ki wigatanda me ba kini wor kendano me chobu wor chobu ni chuk ka wa ten bola mene ya bi wero mene ya bi mel wan kiri eno manne ne matwal pagamo abino bene me wachini wabichira or yarwan kiri kumbede chawani pen jom ke naga negi lega Jacob ara binu mereke bora. He just went and rebuked him and intimidated him. Oh, wabichira or yar kubichani wachani wachiro cho gama muze poro wing ogama ni wachiro kilebduo cha lokka da wajo ke daktare wajo ke la mego makubule ko ma megeni awenu yub jamme jalle chero riat cho chero bene oriat president me Uganda ma winyo pitwo pa Jacob L'Okori wona chuli win pen jem bok ma yam pete me ya chuli ko na lore donc tikate ya chuli me kombedeni president wajoni kinon kama giker Jacob ye madano pechiri ye wajoni dana dek ken mapat ki daktere ki joma gwo en Chief Justice Owiny-Dollo, Deputy Speaker Mike Archane, Aneta Mong, ke Honorable Minister Jane Ruth Acheng, wana dek ke kene yuwa oe oriar kaneno Jacob. Pengo, pieno de teno tuo mogo magaba monoduoni infection. Unotika yellow any payment tuo. Ento eno ne gira dada. Chicken mayama chuli kay tuo boromogo kwa nyo kwa ngo tuo makobo. Chigi keru yana rio, tala rio, idogola, mejo kodano. Nogi rio yate wankaj. Wek jo mabini kasanene tuo te gangi mirpege oye. So President me Uganda rio tal eno me wajini wana dek ken. Weko chang kongi riemen tieno nye tuone kadongi chwalo wako. Magi chwalo chupo duogo. Don actually waberu kakwan pian mono ko waberu gigine na maga chiani chim ne bera dada ano chim bene kelu joko ki komi nyuro anga mala jok lanya to lanya pere gamede tege tamango mo weko kitika mongo tien lo met to pa lanya wano chero wan ge maoge kichako choni goba mama o chalo lo keto wano no olanya ti kwere oria ni goba ni ki mak charpo lanya wegini ye la cho mone wood pa la cho la wora ni wan ke wera olanya pe ke mak chal achule ameru penyo wu tuo yam beru gideyo tuo ma tuo yam beru gideyo ngatu mo tika tuo no dane oriat ko mago chal dog me chwal ji ke la kere wi logo yam tim ya chule achule mana do ye ne na wo wi dan wane ke yap chan duk wano den wi liel achule bene achule liel binu kan wa wechi wu museo L'Okori ye neno wi liel palatene kaluo lu diro le teno peneno liel ero ko wunu piede kon liel meru piche racholi pete kwa racholi kaluo ngoma bennego nero polanya nero liel polanya ki joma don man dong na ngato moma be pengeu gero cherke tere ne mero neno liel lana watika chero kwene lu diro wati kwene ruiri wauti kwene gen joro do ko logo wando weng dong ba do jomara moro be chota ka yeto men wen dol e kin jema yin mir pete welo we metu ko men wen dol chi no ko lo eta te mo keja awadi be ke mao wan ma ke da ke dar mo nero kan be way di dano ne way te me keja men la men pe woro je ko bla nyate me keja watika chero kwene watika chero kwene atika kokbotu watika chero kwene to mo te me yinde ngeyo yinde bini tete wa pian yinde ngeyo ngat mo ne ko lanya bini tete wa olanya wa ke wonne ke to wonne wa ne to mene manero en igin mo wonu be beri ye diri a chori ma ke duo ga duo pe yin ma pe ngeyo ke mon cha legu un ma cha la chori jo metime wilogo achuli yam queer achuli yam riega dada pen kin ma do diri timo de teno pengwete ye tuguma de teno tugume la wala ka chani wandu jo madon poromo chobe la wala wo wiki wu eta neno itopa luke itopa lanya lo dirwa me achuli ka pe ukati wo gang to doctor ko berbe la marjay dong merni ki winni ena yide loko pi achuli lo lu worre kape wadogo alis la kwena mo kana tika dugi ya chuli koñ mo kana tika dugi ya chuli ka waling daga na no wan kanu walogo wan Jacob ichim nyoka warwate ataw me dal ne du ka winyo no nge ko ne ata lo ke Jacob la no watika we eno no nge we mo ne to nge la na che legen wudu mera kwany tong wachere la koga no gang pa jo porama gen put biro kany tie nger raj ko kitung ci dong awe ren ki juba ka do eno ne mo no lo miel bola ti kam yala we de miel len we re memaro wudu mera kwany tong wachere la koga yo wudu mera pin wachere ton le chukero come oh, tuan hecho por llororo, la busco mata chiquille, quiero la coga yo, mara wachero que tonga llama que no ni, mara pin wachere ye, tuan hecho por llororo ye, oh, tuan hecho por llororo, la busco mata chiquille, yo la coga yo. Man we ma keme porayo mi actually bola en ma unu tika ne ku bola ke porane kage cha we kone yo ma gago ke binu goyo kan ton le to buru yororo ni ton le mo ne o mera ni angeo kamati ye la wo a chire tie ke ti pa de town kitung malo ko la chire doni ya gago la wo ma ra chire ena ko bidung ti ya rum kanye pi mer bi cher kamatune ti la koga wachit ka kor ne kunu man me guni lele lu di rachuli yam gingi yu jam gi beru pin mor ka wajini ngaru betemu gena kiti ni pe man me guni lele ngeu te mu isad wash en i beru kere whatsapp me ke ko yetwa kidong ana wachen we mu kene ama ni wera rio we mu kene bere tie mere ana wera rio ma mit ma jo porao mi ibora matero da ko mari nyomo i gang jolu kuo ci pe onwal ci bero kalanya dada wa ne ni tiu ti endi ti la miro i gang jolu kuo raparo maya umera yami chamo lim joro kuo wega paro maya yo beru la merute arma yami chamo lim joro kuo kare la tina chel kalo ke wa ya umera chamo lim joro kuo raparo maya chamulim jolo kuo aparo ma yo paro ko ne go yo kan la wo go ana mielo menu miel gara Jacob pero mo mielo ne penen yo korge kem eto mandi miel gara mano ben jing ineno kero ineno ka jo ma pege nywalo ga chuli wanyo ni ma pingo pegere ya chuli ineno deu pa chuli me ario pagikene ana penyu ngomara kabila pachuli mayat kituba ke yat tidu ke keni rom bedo ka poro pen yaro riang mo ma por pen pe ento tidu ye por lilan kituba ye por lilan badi neno ko bene gang dong malik ja chuli yam penyu eno ni ngomo ti mabila wa Pila woro kwero twana wobe cha moi we twan dano ki yang ya di wa tong ra wa no wa tong ra buru koyo pila ko kwero wan tu yo i pila ga woro kwero twana wobe ye cha moi we twan dano ki yang di wa tong ra kwene wa tong ra buru koyo ya ra wobe pila ko woro kwero wan ye i woro kwero wobe cha moi we twan dano ki yang di wa tong ra kwene no wa tong ra buru koyo lu dir wati kwene dira chuli pengola ka bacho command lu dir chuli beru penjenyo ti dine dudu kwa lega kwa temo nini o karolasyo gino wanu bare wati meni wange ni ngari ti kane ko do yen leteno wa to kitu pengo to te ganga je mere to ti ko dudu ento ko pa wan ma wati ka ko ne ko ada pengo kwanyo loma kwanyo yira lwen naka god ben porro ko pin si enu ni yin won gang pe yeno lu der ma megwa lu der dina der mete kwaro o beru pin ko ngoma raj to ber tien to ngoma raj onero welo ko koritin nen ko gimo kere welo ko lana wedde pora pin ma loru pong welo ko to bin ma baju pong bin ma baju pong wa welo ko bin pong baj ko ro welo ko ro pong baj yo bin ma loru pong welo wa bin ma ga pong bin ma pin pong wa welo ko bin pong baj do apoyo ma terra da apoyo la tuechi Can I call Honorable Minister Grace Kweyuchwin, Honorable Minister for Northern Uganda? Please, let me disturb you. There's something you wanted to say. Apoyo rotual wundo kara, apoyo uchung matek. Ero pa uye le tino matetino. Ben lok malo di remero lok. Alegu alega dada. Wunjo ma le chingwang di tino. Kwala tena weyo, kwala tena nero, kwala tena nyiri, kwala tena nga uchimwan. Ento pen kabino to gang kabino. De tino ma de tino. De tino ma kanya pen bere ye. Pero mo ngamo doge. L'Oregon, geni tira l'Oregon ko bedni. Alegu enone ka chakamano biberi no jomo kerma pol beru pere. Ento tema chure kija. Do romo. Apoyo la chwe. Yes, Honorable Minister. Okay.
Thank you very much, my Lord the Chief Justice, Your Excellency the President, the Vice President. I shared with my Lord the Chief Justice that under your guidance, the members of Cabinet were contributing money which we would contribute to the Education Trust Foundation. And I had told him that we have 35 million shillings that we would contribute to that account. And we will do it immediately we go back to Kampala. Thank you very much.
Le pardon. Ko fo kong mego eno kong yen mo ber contribution me cabinet no benabil wego endong lor ki wajo ne pien pa miano cheno do ko chen ento amero pajo ko fo langol kop madid malatin mamewa kany madong ene do dong logo wero ko chwin pajo Hongwa fo lok baladid langol kom madid. Kinwa da kichen. Ngukao. afoyo la dit ka do chunte to ki den lo ko wiye la dit angewe ti lo mere wa kaine lo komo uye wa ti kon genati tia kan papa won nyach ruot melao en la wo ukelo diang umi ot to nu kon lutieno ujol ati ki chente ka eni mu kibor member me parliament mamero chero East African Legislative Assembly nye ono Moses Atedeka eno mio ali mia beach nigi me foundation ali mia beach atiki ali mia chiel mu aki group to NRM 311 la tete gumi chene ka en nigi mi i auto so foundation binugam ali mia beach ki the yup ugam eni magene atiki chene mu aki Kumi district magenu mi borwakan Kumi en Kumi district uchwalo tena mamegi chalo district the foundation kiwaraga ele Rem Kumi district ali Pierre Beach enu Rem palato men aki Ministry of National Water bukero chena mamegi kiwaraga uye kuni ke kai kwano wer chena na chiki wajo me ot ali mi achiel ene kigamo atu dongamo kakare water then watikan ladit Olach Andrew Obong la yiba beti kilo rem geno mio ali mi angwen nigi mi bor muse one adit Jacob adit langol kob madit war madit mega fulkum bedino gekany ek war inde maktale na kiru merute nyikereni
Apoyo. Right Honorable Speaker, you recall I've just said we were sparring with Jacob, who Joy tried to invite the other to make us speak. He passed on, but passed the baton to you, his soulmate, his sister. I now have the honor to keep this tradition which you have inherited, to invite you to speak to these thousands of people about your brother, about why we are here today. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of Uganda and the Chief Mourner, the Lordship, Chief Justice, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda, the Honorable Leader of Opposition in Parliament, Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of State, Ministers, members of Diplomatic Corps, my colleagues, the Honorable Members of Parliament, the clerk and staff of Parliament, the visiting delegations, religious leaders, other families that Jacob belonged to, like the Bikers Association, the Rotarians, the Sports Association, members of Jacob's family, fellow mourners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Apa Pladit Okor Nathan, Moti Kipeko